my lovely floss tube friends, welcome back to the channel. A very warm welcome to you all. I am here for my June edition. Now, I know I know we are in the middle of July. I don't even know what to say other than I knew I was going to be busy. I knew the end of June was going to be busy. I've been away on holiday. I didn't expect it to take me nearly 2 weeks to get to you in July. So apologies for that, but I am here now. I'm going to try and cram my way through this video, but before I do, a very warm welcome to all those returning subscribers. A special warm thanks to all of those new subscribers, all 98 of you. Thank you so much for coming and joining my channel. If you are new to this channel and you haven't hit the subscribe button already, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, and that way you'll always be notified when there is uploaded content. That said, I know my consistency has been a little bit hit and miss, but I do and have uploaded every month. I have not failed. And I'm not failing this time because I am getting to the June update this year. More about that as we go along. So what to tell you? Lots of talking points. I have my notes over here so that I don't forget. I am a lady of a certain age and I don't have the brain power to be able to remember anything apparently. So notes are necessity on this channel. Late for June update. We know that because we're in the middle of July. Because I was on holiday in Kos in Greece for a week at the last week of June. It was a really busy build up to it. And it's been a really busy post-holiday time. So I will update you all on everything to do with that and the dramas and all of the stuff at the end of the video in the life update. A very hit and miss month for stitching this month in June. To be expected. I did say I wasn't sure how much I was going to get done because I was so busy. I was right to think that. So I didn't come into June thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get so much stitching done because I already knew that wasn't going to happen. So I do have a whip update. I also have a sneaky new start. I know I said I wasn't going to have new starts, but this was needed. It was definitely very needed. And also, like I said, life update at the end of the video for those of you that may be interested. For those that are not, then I get that. You don't need to know the dramas of Teresa's life and Teresa's world. But if you are sitting there stitching, you've got nothing better to do than to sit and listen to me tell you about everything that's happened, then of course be warned. There is a lot of life update at the end of the video. So whip update. Where have we got to? Like I said, didn't do that much stitching, but we did get some done. So first up, we got Deer Creek stocking. It is a Heaven and Earth design by Dona Gelsinger. I should be showing you pictures of what it looks like. I am stitching this on an 18 count magic guide in the colorway Ecru, and I'm stitching it 2/1 full cross. So let me show you where I have got to. If I've got pictures of where you saw it last, then of course I will put those in for you. My Deer Creek stocking only got 2 days worth of stitching. I know, as lame as that might sound. I'm trying to work out where I stitched on it because although it was beginning of June, the fact that we're in the middle of July, I can't completely remember exactly what I did. I think I finished this block here, possibly this block here. I definitely started this block up here. So yeah, progress. We got progress on it. If I can find the pictures of where you last saw it, you'll see how much progress I actually made on it. The plan was to have this out on the stand for all of June, in the hope that as and when I got time to sit and stitch on a frame, on a stand, that this would get lots of love. Yeah, the fact that it only got 2 days sort of says all of that. And it only got 2 days at the beginning of June. So this got stitched on the 6th and 7th of June. So yeah, it's progress. I'm not going to complain. I needed to pull some full coverage out. I'll be honest, I haven't really been drawn to my full coverages. And I would love to sit here and say I know why, but I really don't know why. I think it's purely time and setup. So because to stitch on my full coverages, I am required to sit on a stand because I've got them on scroll bars. I do tend to find that sometimes I just want to pick up something quick that's right next to me, that's in a little Q-snap, and you can just do 1 or 2 strands and that's it. I should really apply the same principle to anything that's on a stand and just say, well, if I only get 2 strands on it, it's still 2 strands, it's still progress. And my brain just doesn't seem to want to compute. And it's a case of a lot of the stitching that I seem to be getting done more so these days seems to be on the train rather than when I'm at home. Yeah, maybe I should include that in my year-end review, because things seem to have had a little bit of a change up here in my house. So that is where I got to on my first project this month. I did do some stitching on my alternative reality. I'm not going to put it on here. The only reason is because I did my May update beginning of June. I think I already showed you the progress that I got done on my alternative reality. So the alternative reality only got 1 day's worth of stitching. And I was like, well, I've already shown that to you because I incorporated it in part of my May update. So I'm not going to get that one out. The next one that I stitched on was my French country reindeer stocking, which is by JW Designs by Judy Whitman. I had a little look at this. It gives 2 different options to stitch it with. As an example, on the front of the pamphlet, it showed a sort of really nice green one, which I really got drawn to, but I didn't have the colours. But I did have some natural material, and I pulled out a very, very nice red. So if I have pictures of where you last saw it, then of course I will put those in here. And this is where we've got to. So I decided to go with 32 count country mocha for the fabric, and 816 is the colorway that I decided to go with for DMC. And I've done a bit. I think the last time you saw it, I'd sort of finished this bit over here. I think I had sort of like yay bit maybe with this. So I've worked on this little reindeer over here. I've put the extra letter in. This design is way bigger than I anticipated that it would be. I thought it was going to be a real small and it would hang off of a Christmas tree. Yeah, I think I misjudged that on my part. So my French country reindeer stocking got 2 days worth of stitching in June. And it was the early part of June. So it was the 11th and 12th of June. So, yeah, I mean, it's been sitting on the stand here in the office with the intention that as and when I had time throughout the course of the day when I was working from home, that I would stitch on it. But work has been so busy. We're building up. Well, we're just in the middle of quarter end now. Quarter end will finish this week coming, which means things will calm down just ever so slightly. But there's lots of exec meetings as well. So it's busy, busy, busy in the office. Therefore, when I am working from home, I'm basically cramming a load of work in because I seem to get so much more work done when I work from home than I do when I'm in the office, believe it or not. So, like I say, this one has been sitting out in the hope that it would get stitched on periodically when I was sitting in the office. I've not got to it as much as I would like, but it is a very easy one to pick up and just stitch on. I didn't make it my chain project only because I got sort of side, what do you call that when you get diverted? Yeah, my attention got diverted elsewhere. So this one did get a little bit of love. Like I say, not much, only 2 days. But the fact that it sat in the office on the desk stand, my Omnique desk stand, which I have promised that I'm going to do a review on, and I will do when I find the time. Unfortunately, it's not right now, but I'll try and do it. I think I will try to do that the back end. I say the back end, sort of over the next coming months. Try and do a review of the Omnique Mantis. I think it's called the Mantis desk stand. Absolutely love it. It's really, really good for when I'm sitting here in the office and I just want to, do a bit of stitching whilst I'm sitting here, either listening to conference calls or watching YouTube or yeah, not when I'm working, obviously, because I'm not getting to it. So that is it on the whip side. Yeah, I know. That's pretty shocking, isn't it? So on my stitch log from my Excel spreadsheet, my handy dandy Excel spreadsheet, it was very obvious in the month of June that I wasn't really achieving. I was underachieving. I basically stitched the first 12 days of June. I did actually stitch only 5 days out of 12. But then there's this massive gap where I was so busy with prep for holiday, trying to get back into doing some activity and fitness. I'll talk about that in the life update. So because of that, no more stitching happened until I went on holiday to Greece. And whilst in Greece, before I went, the lovely Mary Perkins came over because she was doggy sitting for me to look after the girls. And I was talking to her and I was like, I don't know whether I should take something that I've already started or, I really would like something a little smaller. Seems as my JBW design isn't as small as I anticipated it to be. And she was like, why don't you? So I rifled through some of my stuff and fell across one of the ones that I got when I went to, where did I go to? I went to the Wrexham retreat. Now, I don't think it was last year. I think it was the year before that. I went to the Wrexham retreat. We went to the Nimble Thimble and we picked up some lovely, lovely goodies. So one of the goodies that I picked up was the Gather Moments stitching tray by Shepherd's Bush. Absolutely fell in love with this. There's two of them that I've got. I've got a winter scene one and I got this one along with the little wooden trays. That it's just divine. So I decided that because I was going away and this is sort of set as a kit, so Nimble Thimble provided me with all of the threads, the tray, the finishing products to finish the tray, as well as the fabric. So I was like, you know what? That's like a little done deal because it's already ready for me. I can just, do what needs to be done. The lovely Mary Perkins, lover, she, whilst I was trying to complete my packing and do all the things ahead of the holiday, she kindly sorted out all of the threads for me because the threads were just like a little bundle. And I think that was sort of what put me off actually starting it because I was just like, I don't even know what colours what. So she sort of went through it and sorted it all out and then made my little bundle pack up of all my little threads. As you can see, there's not very many threads at all. Some are over-dyed threads, some are DMC. There is quite a lot of over-dyes in here though, I must admit, more than I realised. So here are the threads in all the lovely colours. There we go. And I've got the little tray as well. So this is the little tray. And as you can see, this is what I was saying about it came with everything. It came with the finishing stuff. So in the bottom here is the board. So I've got some of that board stuff. This is the little tray. How cute. How cute is that? So the idea is you've got your little finishing core foam. You've got some wadding that you put over the top of that. You put the stitching over the top of that when it's finished. And then you put it into the little tray. Absolutely love, love, love. Love, 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 love. So here it is, a bit further away so you can see it. But basically, the stitching will sit inside that. And that is my little Gather Moments stitching tray. So it came, because it came as a full kit, I've got this one and I've got a winter one, which is a little red tray. When I can find the chart, I'll pull it out because I think, given that I'm doing as well on this one as I am, I think I will definitely have to do the wintry one so that I've got one to switch out for when winter gets here. Although you could arguably say it feels a bit wintry here anyway. So where did I get to? I hear you say. Oh, let me just pull it out for you so I can show you where I got to on my new start. So my new start is here. I apologise about the background. This is my sort of bumblebee summary desk thing. Normally I take that off so that it's very clear what you're looking at, but I wasn't that well prepared today. So this is where I got to. I've got my little sheep needle minder up here. Thought it was quite apt, since as this project actually has little sheeps on it. So I've got my little sheeps. I got a little fish pond here. I wasn't 100% sure about this little fish pond, because the blue dolphin colour, it's called, that it calls for, isn't really that much different to the background green, which is Williamsburg green. I mean, it is different. You can see a bit, ever such a slight variation, but you can't really see that that's a pond, I don't think. But I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that once it all comes together, it is all very muted colours anyway, so it works well. But even to the natural eye, I don't know how it looks on the screen, but in my natural eye, you can't really see that that's a pond. But I'm fine with that. I've got my little fish in my little pond. I've managed to do the little house, so that's all completed. We've done the little half hill. And I've just started working my way up this side here. So I think I've made really good progress on this. So just as a comparison, that is what it will look like when it's done. So, and I suppose in that picture, you can see that pond isn't really that much darker. So this actually reflects really quite well, I think. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's not much more to go. There sort of is, because I've still got to do the border all the way around the outside and all of these bits in the middle, but it seems to be stitching up a storm, and I'm absolutely loving this fabric. This fabric I'm finding is not too difficult to stitch with whilst I'm on the train. Like I say, this has mostly been stitched on whilst I've been on my commute in and out of London, as well as, I mean, it was started whilst I was on holiday on the 27th of June. Now, I know that I'm sitting here telling you that this is a June update, but I'm going to have to update you to whatever I've got done up until now, because I'm never going to remember where I stopped and where I started, apart from when I record this video. So although it only got actually started in June, this has had 10 days worth of stitching out of 12 days of July. So, and when I say days, I'm talking about, you know, a couple of threads in the evening, and then the rest of the stitching has been done on the train. So pretty much all of this month has been stitched on, all barring the 2nd and 3rd of the month. But I've been doing a lot of TV watching, I'll be honest. The tennis is on, so Wimbledon is on here in the UK. So there's been lots of Wimbledon. There's also the Euro football, and England are still in. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at tomorrow's game. So tomorrow is the final between us and Spain. But because of all the football and because of Wimbledon, when I have actually sat down in the evenings, I've actually been watching something. So yeah, needless to say, I've not been diligently stitching in the evenings either. But that's like I've said before, I can't actually watch TV and stitch at the same time. I'm not that clever. So that is pretty much it on the stitching front of what I've achieved. The Gathering Moment stitching tray, like I said, that fabric is a 32 count Belfast linen. So let me just put it back, because I don't think I told you this. It's a 32 Belfast linen in the colourway Natural. And all the equipment, so the chart, the fabric, the threads, the tray, the insert, the wadding, everything came as a little kit from Nimble Thimble. Don't know whether they've still got them in stock now. If they have, I will put a link to them in the description box below. But absolutely love. I can't wait to get it done so that I can have it inside its little box, because yeah, it's just too cute, people. It's just too cute. And the fact that I've actually spent time stitching on it, I'm like, yay. So that is it, like I say, for the stitching of what I've managed to complete. Now, you know when you're sort of sitting there and I'm preparing to do this video and I'm sitting there thinking, right, what are all the things that I need to remember? And I'm sitting there saying to myself, you know, you did say that evening in the park needs to be done by the end of the year and you haven't stitched on it. And I'm like, that's not good. And then I'm sitting there thinking, you do know we're in the middle of July and you haven't done any of your Christmas things for people. And we all know how well I do at that. You know, if I say that I'm going to start it in July, I'm still on a race against the clock to get it finished in December, it appears. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you know, I'm sort of torn. I'm being torn of all the things that I should be doing. I'm like, well, I should really only stitch on this one when I'm on the train and make this a train project. And then I should be stitching on evening in the park in the evening to make sure that actually gets finished at the end of the year. But then I also want to do the other one, like the companion piece to this one, which is a winter one. So I have that. But then I'm sitting there thinking, but I've got Christmas stitching to get done. Yeah, there aren't enough hours in any one day or any 1 week or any 1 month at that rate. So I'm trying to sort of think practically about what's going to work. I would normally at this time of year be telling you that it is too hot to be sat here stitching. It's not too hot to be sat here stitching because I don't think summer's actually arrived here in the UK. Or apparently it did, but it only turned up for a few days whilst I was away in Greece. So I had to pay for the privilege of going to Greece and catch the sun. And it appears that everyone that we, you know, left here in the UK had a good sort of at least 3 days, possibly 4 days of really, really lovely warm weather. I come back off my holiday expecting to be like, oh, I can top my tan up some more. And yep, I don't think I've really seen the sun. It's been out a couple of times. It's not cold. It's not cold. It's not necessarily boiling. It's certainly not sunny. There's still been a fair amount of rain. And there have been a few days where I've had to put a cardigan on because it's a bit too chilly. But it's mild. It's the only way to put it. But it's definitely not summer. Normally we either have a summer early in the season and we get a week or two of summer in like April, May time. And then normally if we get like a bit of a not so great June, July, we don't really sweat it too much because it's like, well, we did have some sun. But we can't even say that we had that because we've had nothing. So I'm rather hopeful that the fact that it's not here yet, that August might be the month that the sun comes out and we actually get the heat. If that happens, then obviously my stitching declines because it's too warm to be sitting and stitching indoors and I've got lots of gardening to do. But that said, normally in June, I'm either on the deck gardening, outside doing endless watering, mowing lawns, and then if I'm lucky, I might get to a spot of stitching here and there when we have like a cloudy day. We're not there yet, people. So watch this space. I'm sitting here saying I'm not getting much done in June when it's not sunny. So who knows what's going to happen if the sun ever does come to the UK. So on that note, what to tell you about Whip Go. So Whip Go June numbers called were 2 and 25. So let me just confer. 2 and 25. So the idea was in June that basically all of the days needed to be full coverage days. So I was supposed to have got 9 days worth of full coverage in the month of June. When that happened and I saw that, I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. I might get to some of it, but not all of it. So the number 2 required 4 days of stitching on a full coverage. I did complete that as part of my alternative reality that I stitched that I haven't shown because I already showed you that in May. And my Deer Creek, that covered the 4 days. The number 25 was 5 days on a full coverage and I haven't done those yet. Because I'm like, well, I know it was supposed to be done in June, but I've got until the end of the year to pull it back. So yeah, I'm going to float 5 days for that. So July's numbers that have been called is the number 6 and the number 23. So the number 6 for me is 2 days on a general. Now, because I've been working on my reindeer stocking as well as my gather moments, I've already completed that because it only needed 2 days. So I completed that square already. So the only other thing that I need to actually do in July is 2 days on my Afghan. So my very lovely Afghan. That's doable, especially if this weather stays like this, because I'm not going to sit there and say it's too hot to stitch on an Afghan, because it really isn't. So the Afghan just needs 2 days worth of stitching. Like I say, I've got another half of the month to go. So I'm quietly confident, she says, on that. What I would like to try and do for the rest of this month, I don't know whether I should try to catch up on my full coverage and do the 5 days on another full coverage to pull June back into line, or whether I should sort of say, well, you know, I've got until the end of the year to complete that, so maybe I should pull out Evening in the Park and start doing some lanterns and snow as example. What's your thoughts? What do you think I should do? Because I'm like, I don't know now. I don't know. I can't even say that I'm being drawn more to one than the other. I'm like, Evening in the Park should be done. My full coverage should be done. On the full coverage side, I've got Alternative Reality. I could work some more on my Deer Creek. I have got my Fancy Duck that still needs some love. So there's plenty of full coverage that I could be touching on and I could be doing. But then I keep sitting there thinking, well, should I pull out Evening in the Park? So yeah, what do you think I should do there? Because I'm undecided. And I'm cool with either way. I just can't make the decision for myself, apparently. What else to tell you? So haul. Obviously, I've barely done any stitching. So there's like no haul as such, apart from my Fabric of the Month clubs. So my Fabric of the Month clubs, I'm on 2. Was on 2. I have actually reduced my Fabric of the Month clubs down purely because I'm just not getting to the stitching and I'm starting to turn it into a fabric hoarder. So I'm like, do you know what, Teresa? Until the stitching increases, you cannot justify 2 lots of fabric every month. Yes, it's lovely to have the stash and the stock here so that I can, you know, if I decide I want at a whim to start something new, I have something. But the fact that I have so many full coverages, bigger projects, stuff that's already started, I can't really justify it at the moment. That could all change. I could find a way of justifying it later down the line. But for now, I'm not going to. So what I have done, I've decided to stick with my West Green Loft Yarn Fabric of the Month Club. Because that one is a count that I usually stitch on. I was testing the waters, let's say, for the Chromatic Alchemy Fabric of the Month Club and decided to select the 32 count even weave purely because a lot of the things that I'm stitching now, I'm finding a calling for the higher counts, which I didn't have. So now I've got a little selection of those. I'm like, well, I've got those now. So as and when I start to sort of do some new little starts, I'll have some fabric to start with for a higher count. I don't want hordes of it. So this is my last Chromatic Alchemy Fabric of the Month Club. Here it is. Like I say, it's a 32 count. It's in an even weave. And it's a lovely blue colour. Don't think it has a name. It appears not to have a name. But it's a nice blue with, I don't know, they're like purpley pink splodges, but they're not like really defined splodges. It's very, very mottled. It's very lightly mottled, let's say. Almost like a misty colour. Some lovely, lovely mottles of the greys and the blues over here. So yeah, it's a nice fabric. It's a very versatile fabric colourway for stitching. So that will go in the stash and I will behave myself and not start too many things. I need to actually stitch to do that. And then my West Green Loft Yarn Fabric of the Month Club for July is a linen. So that was the other reason that I kept this one going, because I'm very light on linen. Here it is. So it doesn't really have a colour. It just says colourway July 2024. It's a 28 count fat quarter. It's a beautiful colour. Problem is, it's sort of, if I move my hands, is that making it go away? Let me see if I can unravel it a little. See what you can see. It's a really, really sagey green colour. See, now you can't see it that well on this. I don't know if it's because the orange that's behind. I put white against it. Yeah. See, that's a better look. But it sort of looks like a natural green, but it's not. So let me see if it works if I hold it up. So does that work? No, that doesn't really work either, does it? Maybe if we hold it up to the camera there. And if I put that against some white, like so, it still looks like it's like yellow. See, this is why you have to be so careful when you're looking at fabrics on screens and you're looking at fabrics in general. What you see isn't necessarily what you get. But when I look at this, it is a green colour. See, I'm wearing like a brownie, like taupe, and it sort of looks like it's the same colour on this camera, but it's not. It's actually like a sage green linen. It is a sage green, but it is lovely. So like that. And the fact that it's a 28 count for me is great, because that is my safe space. Whenever, you know, I'm struggling, I find 28 count is like the perfect. I don't need any magnification for that. I can do it with just my standard glasses on. The 32 count, even the little tray that I'm working on this one is a 32 count, and when I'm on the train I do have to put my readers on. So, but because I'm not looking up at anything else, I'm literally just sit there stitching and I don't look around me or anything. It's fine because the readers just balance on my nose and I don't need to worry about whether I can see anything else. When I sit and stitch at home, it's different, because when I sit and stitch at home, I'm normally stitching, listening to something on the TV, and every now and then I look up to look at what's on the TV, whether that be Floss Tube or the football or whatever. And the problem is then, if I've got my readers on, I can't see the TV or I can't see what's being shown. So I tend, when I'm working from home or I'm stitching at home on my projects, I'll wear my mag eyes, because I can leave my glasses on so that when I look up I can still see everything, but my mag eyes actually magnify everything that's underneath me. So on the 32 count, I still need that magnification. And on the train, I just switch out these glasses and put some readers on. So there you go. That is my equivalent of haul. It's not haul, but it sort of is. That is pretty much it for the stitching this month. I know. It isn't any worse than I thought it was going to be. It could have been better, admittedly. But we do have to juggle life. We do have to juggle what we get to, what's the priority. And unfortunately, my stitching is a luxury. So that is the time for me to do what I want to do. But the reality is that life does tend to get in the way, and it has to, because other things take priority over my stitching. But I kid you not, people, I am going to absolutely love being retired and have all the time in the world to do my stitching. Because there seems to be none of that at the moment. Admittedly, most of it being my own fault. So what do I mean by that? Let me share. This is the life update. So for those of you that are not interested in life update and you just was here for the stitching, thank you so much for coming and hanging out, and I will see you next month. For those that are here, you know, not got anything better to do, you will know back in May I was talking about a dance competition. I've gone back to doing my ballroom and Latin dancing post hip replacement. I had the competition on the 16th of June. As expected, I wasn't really ready. I didn't know my dance steps completely. It was all a bit, cringy for my liking. But I did walk away with a second in the ballroom and I got fifth in the Latin. I sort of anticipated the Latin was going to be an absolute disaster, and I was right to think so. It needs a lot of work. But I qualified for Blackpool. So I think Blackpool is at some point in November. You have to qualify to be able to dance at Blackpool, at the Blackpool comp. So yeah, that was the whole reason that I needed to do the competition in June. That is done. I've got it under my belt. It wasn't pretty, but it was doable. So obviously with that happening, I was busy doing lots of prep and dancing and trying to practice when I was at home. Also, because I've now had the hip replacement, and back before, I say before the hip replacement, way back, I was always very conscious of making sure that I still got my exercise and my activity level. Stitching is lovely, but the one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't make it so that, I get up and stretch, and I sort of do some sort of exercise to keep me fit and well. Now that I am way past worrying about, damaging the new hip, I had decided I was going to try and get bikini ready to go on holiday, as well as just naturally get some level of fitness back in this little old body of mine. I haven't gone back to running, obviously, because that would just be stupid of me. But I've gone and started doing walking. So me and my sister-in-law and my niece, ahead of the wedding, were all going out at sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, and going and doing sort of a good hour fast-paced walk. It was going great. My hips did give me some issues when we tried to do back-to-back days. As long as I put a gap day in between, it was fine. But obviously, going from nothing to basically walking fast-paced for an hour showed me that actually my joints are, not as in a good condition as I thought they were, and neither is my fitness level. So as well as that, I did start hitting the gym, and I did say to my husband, I need to try to get to the gym 3 times a week to make sure that I work on my strength training, purely because it is very, very good for your bones. It is very, very good for my joints. And moving forwards, I think it's very, very apparent that I do have joint issues. And because of that, I need to do everything I can in my power to make it so that the joint issues don't become such a problem that I'm either unable to work or unable to go to work or unable to do all the things that I want to do. I've accepted that I'm never going to do the things that I used to do, but that doesn't mean that I just don't want to do anything. So part of the reason why I'm not getting to my stitching maybe so much is because I am having to prioritize. Normally, regardless of whether I work from home or I work in the office, I would come home, walk the dogs for half an hour, and then sit my butt down. What I'm now trying to do is at least 3 times a week, where possible. It doesn't always work out, but where possible, head to the gym. I just need an hour, in and out, bit of strength training. In the mornings, I'm doing the walking, and then obviously walking the dogs in the evening anyway, but that's a much slower pace walk with the girls because they want to sniff and, they don't want to be frog marched round. So again, there's another lack of actual time for me, but it is me time because I am looking after my well-being. So that has had an impact on how much free time I have, that's for sure. The wedding in Greece, it was glorious. So we went to Kos in Greece from the 23rd to the 30th of June. It was lovely. The average temperature, for those of you that want to know, is it was in the low 40s. So low 40s for us is sort of like, I don't know, 104 Fahrenheit-ish. I say 104 because that's 40 degrees. But most of the time it was sort of between 42 and I think the hottest day was about 46 or 48. So it is really, really hot out there. Needless to say that, if you go somewhere to just lollop around in flip-flops and bikinis, it's fine. But then when you've got to dress up for a wedding, and I had I had a very long dress right the way down to the ground. It was off the shoulder. So top half was exposed. The rest of me was covered. The day of the wedding, even though the wedding was at 5 o'clock in the evening, there was still sun up on the terrace where we were with the wedding party. I would say it was still it was still either the upper end of the 30s or the very low end of the 40s. Needless to say that my navy dress, I was sweating in my navy dress. But it was an absolutely lovely, lovely ceremony. We live streamed it because there was family members that didn't make it out to Greece. So me and Lauren made sure that the rest of the family that didn't get out to Greece could still watch it and then watch it back. So that was lovely. It was a glorious day. Once we had the wedding, we was flying out the following morning. So the wedding evening entertainment finished at midnight. So at midnight, we went back to our room, packed our bags, and then got into bed. And the idea was we was just going to get up, have breakfast, and then get took to the airport. That night, I kept waking up in the night and I was thinking, God, my throat's so sore. So sore. And I was like, I don't think I was shouting. I don't think I did anything, I wasn't like, shouting and hollering. So I was like, don't know why my throat's so sore, but it was really dry and it was really sore. Anyway, by the time the morning got there, it was like a big sort of mad dash to finalize all the packing, get down, get breakfast, check out the room, say goodbye to the family, and then we headed off to the airport. Got on the plane, and when I was on the plane, I was thinking to myself, I'm really not feeling that great. And I was like, it may be just because it was a really busy day the day before. It was very hot in that dress. It was a late night, a chaotic morning, and I'm like, I'm just tired. Well, you'd think, right? Well, by the time I got back here to Mary, who was looking after the girls, looking after the poochies, of which, where is the poochies? There's one up there, lounged out. There she is, look. If I lean back, you can see her. The other one is in with Lauren. So the girls were here being completely and utterly bowled over and looked after by Mary. I'm not sure who enjoyed it more, the girls or Mary. When we got back here, and the girls went absolutely berserk when I got home, it was only then that I was like, I really don't feel very well. And I was really snuffly. And I had a headache. And my throat was sore. And I was like, oh no. So, and my mum came down to say hello and welcome back. Her and Mary had an absolute ball by the looks of it. They kept sending me little messages. Mary was updating me on the girls daily. And then there was these messages about my mum and Mary going off out on the mobility scooters, and I'm just like, oh no, we're letting them loose, especially Mary in Essex. I mean, she's not from around here, but thankfully she was with my mum. So my mum sort of, looked after her, but then equally I think Mary looked after my mum. So it was really, really nice to know that my mum had someone here, Mary had someone here. The girls were completely and utterly looked after, because that was my biggest concern about going on holiday as a whole family and leaving the girls. The girls have never been left with anyone other than us. Normally Lauren and Ben will go on holiday. Me and Darren will look after the girls. And then when we go on holiday, Lauren and Ben look after the girls. So the fact that this was the first time the girls had been left with someone, they were left with Mary, who they'd only known for sort of 48 hours before we went. And they were absolutely adorable and absolutely fine with Mary. Mary was like the perfect fluffy dog sitter. I think she had more of a ball because she was just like, I don't know. She fell in love with the girls. I think the girls fell in love with her. She done lots and lots of fur baby cuddles. Yeah. There was nothing to worry about there. The girls were more than well looked after. The neighbours, because I was a bit concerned to let Mary take the two girls out for a walk on her own together, because they can be they're very well behaved indoors, but the minute they get outside and it's all that smells and they get a bit competitive with when they're out walking on the lead, I wasn't comfortable with Mary taking them both at the same time. So the neighbours, they came over and each one took one dog and took them out together. And yeah, by the sounds of it, they created carnage when they went out on their walks, which is totally fine because at least Mary didn't have to deal with that. The neighbours did. And I bought them a bottle of drink just to sort of, say thank you for putting up with the dramas of the girls walking. So yeah, needless to say, we got Mary off heading back to Bristol. Darren drove her that day. Drove her over halfway around the M25 so that she could meet up with her husband. And we done like the Mary exchange. We exchanged Mary so that she could go back home. So we did that, or Darren did that. Whilst he did that, I basically wowed around on the sofa thinking, oh, I feel terrible. I felt absolutely dreadful. I was planning to work from home on the Monday anyway, which was a good thing because by the time I went to bed the night we arrived back in the UK, I was taking medication. I felt dreadful. I said to my mum, stay away from me. Don't come near me because I think I've got the lurgy. I was right to think that. So literally, it knocked me on my back. So from the Monday, all of that following week, I basically fell out of bed at like 8:45 in the morning because I felt so dreadful. Fell into this chair to work. At lunchtime, I literally crawled back up to the bed and took an hour's sleep. Then got back up, come back to finish work. And then at 5:00, I went back to bed. And it basically went on like that day after day. I felt awful. And I was like, who goes on holiday in 40 plus degrees and comes home with a raging cold? And it wasn't just like a standard cold. It was like a flu cold. It was awful. It took me 10 days to get over that. And although I'm over it, I've still got a bit of a rasp on the old throat. And occasionally, for no apparent reason, my nose will just start running and I'll start coughing. So, yeah, it's one of those lingery type things, and I'm not normally the person to catch those sorts of things. I might have a lot of issues with joints and, other things, lady things, those sorts of things, but not normally colds and coughs. I don't normally get that. So the fact that I got it, I was like, well, if you're going to get it, you might as well get it big. So I did. So that sort of put a bit of a dampener on the returning home and thinking, right, when we get home, I'm going to crack on. I'll get the washing done. I'll do this. I'll do that. Yeah, that sort of didn't happen. So I still feel like I'm trying to play catch up from coming back off my holiday, even though we're in the middle of July, because I've been trying to work, get over this, get my rest, as well as try and sort of like get back on track. So it's been really busy. What else to tell you? So we touched on the weather. The weather here in the UK is dreadful. Needless to say, the dahlias are still not in the garden. My plan is that this weekend is the weekend, but today is really not such a great day. Today is basically drizzle, cloudy, horrible, not that warm. So I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it today. So I was like, do you know what? I need to get this video done. That's why we're here today. And then on Sunday, it's supposed to be sunny-ish. I don't think it's going to be amazing, but it will be warm. It's supposed to be much warmer than it is today. So I've decided that come hell or high water, the dahlias that are ready can come out of the greenhouse and get planted out in the garden. All of the smulch, I think it's called. I've got some special slug and snail repellent mulch stuff that I put down on the bed to try and stop the slugs and snails from eating my dahlias. I'm going to put all that down. That's all arrived so that it's all here at the ready. And we're just going to see how we get on. Hopefully tomorrow will be a garden day. Today, because it's really not very sunny, not too hot outside, we've booked the girls into an open doggy park. I say open doggy park. Basically, it's a confined field that are just for my dogs. So I can actually let them off the lead and they can just run and they can sniff and they can do all the things. But without having to worry about them either running off, escaping, bumping into other dogs. We went there in the winter, I think, back at the end of last year, before it got really, really wet, and it was lovely. The girls thoroughly enjoyed it, but then all of a sudden, the really horrible wet weather came, and I think one time we took them over there, literally we had to bath the girls when we got them back because their feet were just full of mud. They're basically mud balls to stand on. Honey was just walking all weird and hated it because there was all this mud stuck to her paws. So we sort of said, well, we won't take them back until it dries out. It hasn't dried out until about now. So this is like, it's only been like the last 2 or 3 weeks that we've had what I call dry enough weather that you could take them there. So fingers crossed that this evening when we go, it's not going to be muddy. because it hasn't really rained that much, and the girls can just run around in this garden. We'll throw some balls. To be honest, because it's such a novel experience for them to be let free and run with such vast sort of space, they don't seem to care about chasing balls. They more care about sniffing and just legging it up and down a field. So that's this evening's. I say this evening. Later on this afternoon, that's the activity for then. Live streams, I would have loved to have got to. And the more I've thought about it, I'm like, I really would like to get some more live streams on the go. But I only tend to do my live streams on a Sunday evening, UK time, which is Sunday afternoon US time. But I only do it on days when I know that I'm going to be working from home on the Monday, because otherwise it's just too much to try and get myself all ready for work for the next day and get to bed early enough and get up for 5 o'clock in the morning. Normally I have Mondays working from home and Fridays working from home. Just recently, and at least for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I'm working every Monday in the office. So I'm basically working Monday to Wednesday or Monday to Thursday in the office, and I'm only getting 1 or 2 days at home. So that sort of put a dampener on that, because I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I did consider that because I might be working from home Fridays, whether I should consider doing live streams on either a Friday night or a Saturday, or whether I do a live stream on sort of a Sunday early afternoon UK time. The only thing with doing that is it does worry me for those that are in the Western Hemisphere, so sort of the US and Canada. I know that on a Sunday afternoon for me is a Sunday morning for you. I know a lot of you go to church and you have things to do in the morning. So I'm like, don't know whether it's worth doing it my afternoon on Sunday, which would be your morning, or whether if and when the time comes up, whether I try and do it on sort of a Friday evening or at some point in a Saturday. I don't know. I don't know what works best for whoever's watching, or whether I should just mix it up and just pop up, just like randomly let you know when I'm going to do a live, and if you're available, and just do it that way, so that I'm not trying to commit to a certain day, and if I can't do it on that day, just don't do it. Is it better that I do it, but I do it on a day that just randomly comes up and just see who's around on the day? I mean, obviously, all of the live streams can be watched back, but I know a lot of people don't necessarily like to watch back the live streams because they're not quite like a Stitch with me. I think it's better for those that are actually interactive at the time of the live, more so. But yeah, any feedback that you have on that, you know, if there's a preference for Fridays, Saturday afternoons, Saturday evenings, Sunday afternoons, or whether, you know, just only do them on a Sunday evening when I can. I don't know what Bonbons just did. What did you do? Come here. What's up? What have you hurt? Yeah. Bonbons just hurt herself. We're having some issues with the Bonnie. So the Bonbons, it looks like needs to go in for another surgery. She needs to get the other leg done now, because she's having problems, aren't you, darling? So sometimes when the leg plays up or it gets stuck, it really hurts her. Hence that little squeak and then the run, because it makes her worry. She panics, don't you? You panic. Yes. Well, that was a brisk end to the video, people. So like I was saying, yeah, let me know whether there's a preference or whether there's actually a not such a suitable time or not such a great time to do it, because I'm always open to what works best for the majority. And I don't know unless I get feedback on, you know, if it's worth me even looking at alternatives rather than not doing it at all. That said, like I say, July is probably a bit of a washout anyway for the rest of it, because I've got quite a lot on the weekends. But August is looking much more doable. Work will settle down, providing we don't have a monster heat wave, which it doesn't look like we're going to be having. Then August might be the right month to sort of start something like that up. So on that note, people, I need to go and pet the bonbons because she's feeling quite sorry for herself now. She's hurt herself again. My love. So thank you for coming and hanging out. Like I say, I know I'm late for July, so I will do a July edition. Probably at the beginning of August, but I might give it a week or so into August so that I can include that. And when I say it's a July update, it will be July with a little bit of August, because otherwise you're only going to get whatever I get done in the next 2 weeks, which is probably not a lot. I hope you're all having a lovely stitchy time. You're having much more stitchy time than I'm having. That you're having better weather than I'm having. And until next time, people, the bonbons, the honey, and I will see you next time. So until then, bye bye for now.